have officially made it into Dallas, Texas for our Texas All 4 competition. Today is Friday. Competition is going down tomorrow. So we're at the very end of the weight cut. This morning, I flew out at about 5:30 a.m. from New Jersey over to Dallas, and I weighed in before going to the airport, and I was 160 pounds on the dot, which is 73 kg, and that is exactly what I need to weigh in for my weight class in this competition. And so we're looking good. I am going to keep the food fairly light today to make sure that, you know, we're digested and in good shape for tomorrow, but I'll also show you what I'm eating to finish off this weight cut, because for the most part, it's gonna be protein. So shout out to my mom. We got here some ground turkey. We got, it might even be a little hard to see, but we got ground turkey, avocado, and egg whites. That's pretty much what most of the day in itself is gonna look like. Just straight protein, which is gonna be like egg whites or tuna, and a little bit of salad or something like that. So I'm gonna knock this down, and then I'll give you all a quick room tour. All right, so there's not a whole lot to see here, not gonna lie. So first we got our door, then we got a fridge with a freezer, which is actually kind of clutch. If we need to put some stuff in there, we definitely can. Bunch of utensils and stuff for the little kitchenette that we got going on, some plates, microwave, which is nice, and a dishwasher. Love that. I was just able to wash my meal prep container. Here is the bathroom. Sink here, toilet, we got the shower. We have the rest of the room. Sofa bed right there. 2 beds. We got Eugene and Theo staying with me, and then we got our table. Already started hoarding the bananas for tomorrow, which is good to go, and that's roughly it. All right, so this is what we got for the grocery haul. Shout out to Nicholas for taking me over to Walmart. So this is mostly for the recomp tomorrow morning, but we have a few things that we'll use today. Egg whites, for example. I'm pretty much on a protein strict diet until tomorrow. So we got the egg whites, we got the tuna there today, as well as the spinach. I'm gonna be eating that for my final 2 meals of the day. And then for the recomp tomorrow, we have our bananas, carbs, potassium. We got plain bagels, coconut water, the honey, the go-go squeeze. We got Pedialyte going down here, protein shake, body armor. We got the Ghost, my favorite flavor, which is the orange cream. We got some chicken tomorrow, the rice, of course. We got some salt. We have coconut water and tonic water. So we are very nicely set up for today and for tomorrow now. So pretty much what I can do for the rest of the day is just chill and eat.
It's 145 from 4 pounds.
All right, here we are. We got, we'll leave extra large, should be on the top. Let's see, check that size. Let's get the reaction of the shirts.
This is nice, man. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Let's go.
I like this.
Harder with 200 is crazy.
Good morning. So we are here at our Texas All 4 competition. This morning I weighed in at 67.6, and so we're pretty good in terms of the weight. I was able to eat a bagel and a banana before we even got started today, which is awesome. And so starting with the recomp right now, getting in about 1 liter of water with some Element, 2,000 milligrams deep in sodium so far, and we're working from there. And so feeling good so far. And we're just gonna have a good day, man. That's the goal. Make it pass without any cramps like we did last time, and we're gonna have a good day. So let's keep it going. Hang out for a couple minutes, then get 3 sets of 3 pull-ups, and then you can go bodyweight muscle up and call it from there. Spread it out though, so it's not too long before we start. 3 sets of 3 and spread it out. Make sure you have enough time to do that, the muscle up with the 1.5, so that you can just feel it out first and you'll be good. As we wrap up warm-ups, I think a little bit of context needs to be given just to emphasize how I was feeling at this time. Flashback to the national championships back in April when I reached up to grab the pull-up bar as I was about to start warming up in the competition in general. My hand seized up, and that's where the cramping started for the day. And so that was a matter of not getting the fluids in as aggressively as I should have because we did a fairly large water cut. So this time around, I made an emphasis to really hammer those electrolytes down and really pay attention to what I was putting into my body before getting started with the warm-up. I was pretty chill about this competition, and so really was just taking my time making sure that I went through my due diligence to give myself the best possible chance of doing well. So best believe I was thanking God when I started warming up and everything felt okay. I was still a little bit on edge at this point in the day just because I knew what had happened before, and I really wanted to make sure that I wouldn't allow that to happen again. So moving on to first attempts.
Good lift, Jacob, 1.25.
Okay, so quick recap on how everything is going. So far, this performance is starting to feel almost night and day to what I experienced back in April, which is exactly what we were looking for today. I got all of my reps except for my very last rep, which was 22.5 kg, which was one of those things that was a toss-up. I didn't even know if I would be able to get over the bar, and I did. So I'm really excited about that. Only reason it was a no rep was because of the fact that my arms were bent when I exited the box. And so what happened there was I switched up the method that I used to dismount from the box, and inadvertently, without even thinking about it, I slightly bent my arms in order to get the height that I needed off the box. So silly mistake on my end, but the speed of the reps that we've been showing today, how snappy I am, is exactly the data that we needed in order to be able to say today's gonna be a good day. So now we're just about 20, 25 minutes out from starting chin-up, and I think we're gonna be able to get that new national record. So let's see how it goes.
Legs for leg. All right, our first 8-kilogram pull, Lincoln Black, please arrive to the platform. Extra door 0. Lincoln with 80 kilograms. Lifts for leg. And that's all of the pull attempts.
Okay, I think it's safe to say that we are officially cooking. I was not expecting to be able to get that 80 just because I wasn't feeling super snappy on the 7.5. However, I knew that it wouldn't make any sense to move up by 1.5 kgs to 78.75 because that doesn't make any sense to me, right? So I was like, you know what, we're gonna send that 80. And we went for it, we finally got 80. We've been chasing that for over a year now. So hyped. It wasn't the 81 for the national record, but we're chipping away. We're chipping away. At this point in time, the day was looking great. We had a phenomenal muscle up session. Only missed 22.5. There was a tiny bend in my arms as I was dismounting from the box. So shout out to Eugene for catching that and for calling me on it, rightfully so. In addition to that, my goal going into this competition was to beat the national pull record for my weight class, which was at 80 kg. I definitely started to feel a little bit of fatigue catching up to me at this point in time in the day, which was still very early on. Figured I would just need to increase the speed at which I was sort of eating carbohydrates. Because I was starting to feel that fatigue, it definitely rocked my confidence a bit as I was going into this final attempt for pulls. And I really just had to like get in my head. It's like, hey, you know, we faced this adversity of this fatigue during training in earlier weeks, and this is nothing new. So we go for the pull, and I really want to highlight the form here. I had the spatial awareness to recognize that it's possible that my chin was not fully over the bar when I got to the top of the pull and it wasn't going any higher. So what I did was extend my neck just enough to make sure that I cleared the bar. We got the rep, and so here we are now having tied the national record for pulls in my weight class. I gotta say, like, I am super grateful to be able to have done this, because 80 kg is golden number that I've been chasing for well over a year now, and just continue to miss it, but pulls have been really progressing of recent, and so that is some good stuff. Really happy to see where it goes from there. But let's continue on to dips, because this is where things start getting interesting. So this is when the physiological effects of my weight cut started to really kick in. To put it short, I hit a brick wall at this point in the day. We went for the 97.5 or 215 pound dip, and it definitely did move quickly. One of the interesting things that you'll notice, especially when you lift heavy, is there is definitely a discrepancy between the way that the weight moves and the way that it feels. And so while the weight looked like there was no struggle whatsoever, and maybe I could have knocked out another 3 reps at that weight, it moved a lot slower than I was expecting it to, at least in the way that I felt it on my body. And so that concerned me a bit, and I realized that I was feeling, again, a bit fatigued, and that fatigue from pulls just earlier had not gone away. And so in terms of those physiological effects that I mentioned, I cut 11 pounds in order to make weight for this competition. The carbohydrate deficit that I was on, which was cutting a ton of the glycogen, or the energy that my muscle uses to be able to exert force for these lifts, was very low, right? Which means it was depleted going into the competition. And even though I was able to start the recomp before weighing in, because I weighed in so low, there was not enough carbs in the world, essentially, for me to be able to consume within the time from the beginning to even the middle of the day to be able to replenish and to continue to replenish what I was losing. And so unfortunately, things started going downhill from there. We went for the 110 dip, which in training is a breeze for me. There's no reason why I shouldn't have gotten that, and I just got pinned on that weight. And then unfortunately, I gaslighted myself to think that it was a matter of me just going too deep on the initial attempt of the 110, and I just needed to go a bit more shallow on my third attempt. I chose to go for that 110 once more, and really what I didn't think about at the time was that I was sacrificing more of the energy that I was already low on to be able to go for a long shot attempt at the dip when I still had my biggest lift ahead of me in the day, which was squats. And realistically, we've been talking quite some time about me attempting and achieving that 500 pound squat at 160 pound body weight. So realistically, at this point in time, if I was thinking objectively about the situation, I think that I would have chosen to scrap my last attempt at dips just to be able to save energy to go for those squats, because truly, even with a 97.5 being added to my total from dips, which was not what I wanted because we were looking for closer to a 120 on the day, I was still going to be able to make up for it quite a bit with just squatting some decent weight in this competition. And by all accounts, I was ready to do so. And the past few weeks have definitely shown me that I had what it took on the day. But we made somewhat of a foolish sacrifice to go for that third attempt for dips when realistically I really didn't need to do that. But let's continue on to squats, because this is where all hell broke loose. Okay, the footage gets a little bit spotty right here, and I didn't really have anyone reliably moving the camera around for me, and so just a couple things going on at the same time, but I do wish I got a couple more clips here. So what happened was I went to go warm up for my squats. Everything seemed fine. I was continuing to hydrate throughout the day, I unrack and I grip pretty hard normally for my squats, and I grip the bar and I start to feel a little bit of cramping in one of my forearms. I sort of just modify my grip a little bit so that I can increase weight. We go my usual progression, 135, that was fine. Not a whole lot of pressure on the body. We go 225. It's starting to become a problem now as I grip the bar a little bit harder. Now both of my forearms are starting to cramp. I get to 385 pounds, which is my second last warm up. This usually moves very easily, but the problem is now my forearms are cramping. I'm trying everything that I can to massage them before going back under the bar, but they're still cramping every single time I get under there. And now I can't brace properly. So now the bar and the weight itself feels extra heavy on my back because I can't brace. And so at this point, I'm wondering, to be honest, was I going to be able to actually finish or complete a single squat attempt on the day? Originally, I wanted to open up at 200 kg, which is 440. I decided to lower my opener to 190, which is somewhere closer to about 424. The idea was that if I was under even like the most dire situation, I wouldn't need to brace a ton to be able to squat that weight because it's not that heavy. And so you'll see in this clip right here, when it's time for me to walk out for that first squat, my hand seizes up. I can't open my hand. And now we have a real problem. Shout out to Abu Sada for helping me out with some extra hydration, and we went and got some cryo done on both of my forearms, and that helped me just enough to be able to open up my hand so that I could hold the bar. I had to defer my first attempt, but now I was able to hold my bar for my second attempt, so repeating 190. We go for the 190, and somehow I get called for depth on that squat. And so we're down now to one more attempt on the day to be able to remain in the competition and to put up a valid all four total. To be honest, I found it completely acceptable to walk into a competition like this and squat anything less than 200 kg, which is 440 pounds. Based on how 190 felt, I knew that all I had to do was just bury 200 and it wouldn't be a problem. Even if it was a slight grind, 200 is weight that I squat all day, so it was not something that I was scared of. I figured either go big or go home. I wanted to leave with my dignity. And so we asked them to load 200 kg for the final squat attempt on the day. I knew I was really gonna have to dig deep, even though I was very nervous about my hands cramping up during the middle of the rep itself. But we got under the weight. I was gripping it essentially about like 2-3 fingers on each side, as you'll be able to see there. And we go for the squat and we get the squat. And so that gives us a valid total on the day, albeit the worst total that I've had since 2024, which is definitely embarrassing. It's still definitely a testament to having a little bit of resilience. At the end of the day, it was completely unexpected because it was literally at the end of the day when this happened. And so to be able to make the adjustments that I did, even though it didn't look like it was going to work out, we got it done. So definitely shout out to my team. Jihad helped me a little bit with some massaging of the forearm. Shout out to Abu Sada for helping me out with the hydration, with the cryo and all of that stuff. The way I describe this is that this was not the meet that I wanted, but I think it was the meet that I needed. And there were definitely some signals that I want to be able to take away from this that maybe I'll be able to discuss in the next video. We'll kind of dig a little bit deeper into where I find myself within the sport of street lifting right now, with the goals that I currently have, just the feasibility based on the damper on my performance that we've now had in 2 of my last meets. And you know, it was good that this was only a state level meet, so it really didn't count for anything. I'm not missing out on qualifying for the world championship or anything like that, but how many more times can we have this happen? And so even though we changed up the strategy this time in terms of the hydration and the recomp, it still didn't work. So then the question is it more so a need to, again, adjust our strategy, or do we need to change everything up in general? To wrap things up, we did walk away with the first place win in this competition, but that was by no means the goal at the end of the day. The goal was that I wanted to hit a PR total. And so, you know, I can still be very happy about the performance that I had in the first half of the day, because this was my best muscle up session to date. And of course, we just tied the national record with that 80 kg chin up, so definitely can't be mad about that. However, dips have continued to underperform at every single competition in street lifting that I've been to as yet. We're still in the race for finally getting some redemption in our dips, and we haven't been able to show what I can do with squat. Should have been the day where 500 pounds at 160 fell. You know, it just wasn't my day, and the beautiful thing from this is that I can still be super grateful for the fact that I am, you know, so blessed to be in this position position to be competing at the level that I am in.
What streetlifting means to me is honestly an opportunity to chase greatness. When I got into this sport, I said to myself, what can I do to really just apply myself to get better against whatever challenges come in front of me in this sport? And honestly, it has challenged me in ways that I never thought possible, because there's the mental and the physical challenge that really beats you down at the same time, and you really get to just learn who you are when you get challenged. And so it has built me into a more resilient athlete, and I want to just continue to push in this sport because I know I can achieve great things.
I just want to say thank you, Lincoln, for coming to Texas.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
Welcome to Texas. I'll give a big old howdy to Lincoln, and I want to say, be like this guy. Be like the national champion. He gives it his all. He is humble. He truly is a good guy, and I'm thankful that you're even the person that you are, for us to look to you as an inspiration.
Thank you, bro.
It means a lot.
I really appreciate
Thank you
that.
for being who you are in streetlifting,
Yes, sir.
in Texas, in the United States,
Yes, sir.
and next year, 2027, actually, in the world.
Hey, let's go.
Love you,
Make
bro.
it happen.
Appreciate
man.